Is there a group of men and women out there who are secretly controlling our finances, our media, communications, and every aspect of our lives? Well, my two guests think that there very well might be. We have Jordan Maxwell, who has made an appearance in Ancient Mysteries of the Bible on CBS with William Devane hosting it, and he's agreed to come back and do the sequel. And we have Anthony J. Hilder of Radio Free World. Both of these people will be appearing at Wembley Arena in England on Saturday the 9th and the 10th of January 93. And under Jordan Maxwell's name, there's a quote that I'd like to bring to your attention, and I'd like to start off with Jordan answering this. It is probable that most of the public figures and military men involved in the secret scheme are unaware of the real goals or who is really behind it. Jordan, I've got to ask, what's going on here?
Well, let's start with a term that we're hearing quite a bit about in the last couple of years, the New World Order. Our president is going all around the world proclaiming a New World Order. Incidentally, all the presidents, living presidents, along with many of the heads of state throughout the world, are going to meet, according to the LA Times, are going to meet in the year 2000 at the pyramid in Egypt to bring in what is called the New World Order. There is something going on here on an international, worldwide scale right before our eyes, but that so many of us are unaware, and consequently we're not really seeing what is happening. There is, in fact, a conspiracy or a planned world domination coming by this thing that George Bush calls a New World Order. On the back of the $1 bill, there are a lot of important occult symbolism on the back of the $1 bill. On the left-hand side, you'll see the pyramid, and a pyramid of Egypt. That's an Egyptian pyramid on an American dollar bill. The significance is very important. Above the pyramid, you will see the words Annuit Coeptus, which basically means in Latin, our enterprise is a success, or our project has been crowned with success. And the project, which is a success, is on the banner beneath the pyramid. Novus Ordo Seclorum, being Latin for New Order of the World, or the New World Order. On the bottom of the pyramid, you will see the Roman numerals for 1776. This exact identical emblem of the pyramid within the circle, the Novus Ordo Seclorum, it was not original in America. It was first found on writings that are today in museums in Europe in the year 1774, 1775 by a man named Adam Weishaupt, who founded the Bavarian Order of the Illuminati, a secret society of Freemasons operating in Europe that had designs on the entire world and to bring about what they call a New World Order. So that emblem on the back of the dollar bill on the left-hand side with the pyramid is not an American symbol. It is a very old symbol coming from
you should bring out the fact that this is the Order of the Illuminati.
Yes.
And the May 1st, 1776 did not signify the creation of the United States of America,
no,
but the Order of the Illuminati for the enlightened ones, or the Luciferians.
Yes.
And this is a satanic symbol. It is on the cover of the Illuminati documents from May 1st, 1776, which obviously precedes the birth of this nation on July 4th, 1776. And at the very top of the pyramid, there's the Agpu, all-seeing eye, which was the name of the Soviet secret police during the Stalin era.
Right, now, Anthony, you spent most of your life studying these secret societies and the Illuminati, and you put out a record some time ago called the Illuminati CFR.
Council on Foreign Relations, right.
Right. this is, I've heard various charlatans coming out talking about the Illuminati, but I was wondering if you could get into a little bit more detail about the history of this organization and some of the more, you were talking about the eagle, for instance, and the pyramids and that sort of thing, and talk a little bit about the Freemasonry origins of the Illuminati.
Well, let me just make this one comment first, and then Anthony can go on with it. At the top of the pyramid, you'll see the little triangle with the eye in it. The eye was the eye of Horus. Horus was the eye of God, the sun. And so the sun represented the pupil or the eye of God in the ancient Egyptian philosophy. And that's why you'll see the light emanating from around the eye. So it's the worship of light, Luciferianism. It's the worship of the coming forth of light into the world. And therefore our masters, these manipulating masters behind the scenes of world government who are manipulating all peoples, consider themselves to be enlightened despots, enlightened people. And of course, when you go to university, you graduate from a university, you wear the Masonic square of Freemasonry on your head to symbolize that you're an alumni. Alumni comes from the word illumini. You have been illuminated into the enlightened power structure of the New World Order. That's the actual basis for these symbols. And to go on with the rest of the symbolism.
Well, I think it's important to bring out the fact that George Bush did not write the New World Order. In fact, if you want to know who wrote the New World Order, you simply go back to Adolf Hitler. It wasn't his first book, that was Mein Kampf. The second book, the New World Order. And Rudolf Hess went out and said, in introduction of Hitler, he said, Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer. One world, one race, one ruler. That's what this whole United Nations is all about, and I'm for a free world. That's in total opposition to the New World Order.
Well, Bush's New World Order may have come from Adolf Hitler, but Bill Clinton's New Covenant clearly comes from the Old Testament.
All right, now, the New Covenant, that is a catchphrase. That is a term which has been used for at least 500 years by a secret society of Freemasons in Europe called the British Israel World Federation. British Israel World Federation, you can see topics in movies based on this subject, like there's a motion picture just come out called The Handmaid's Tale, based on British Israel philosophy for America. A secret society of Freemasons promoting something that is called, as far back as 500 years ago, British Israel philosophy, Anglo-Israel philosophy, which is tying in the Old Testament governmental system to be the basis for a new world order in the coming future. And that's why the symbolism...
Clinton went to Oxford.
And it has to do with Rhodes Scholar. Right. The Rhodes Scholarship Foundation, and this whole thing of a new covenant comes directly from British Israel Freemasonry. Rhodes Scholar, the Rhodes Scholarship of England. So we can get into that. We can get into all of the occult significance of the Democratic Party, his term of the covenant, the new covenant.
And Cecil Rhodes is the founder of Rhodesia. That's where Rhodesia got its name. And we had a little thing called the Round Table, and some of these Luciferian groups. And I say Luciferian, I mean it. Like George Bush is a member of the Skull and Bones. Now, in the Skull and Bones fraternity, this is the Faustian financial fraternity that started up at Yale University in 1832. Came over here as a bounce off of the Jacobin Society, which was involved in the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror. At Yale University, they have a structure, and you can go there. Anybody can go there and see this structure they call a tomb. Inside the tomb, they have their initiation, and the fellows, they lay down in a coffin. And George Bush was one of them. They lay down in a coffin nude, and they're born again into the satanic order. It's the ritual. It's been there. William Buckley Jr., the Harrimans. Yeah. The conservatives? No. George Bush isn't a conservative.
Never have.
Ronald Reagan is not a conservative. In fact, Ronald Reagan is so far left. I mean, can I say this? Ronald Reagan is not a conservative. He never was a conservative. He is not a conservative. He never will be a conservative. In the early days, they used to call him Red Ronnie. It's as simple as that. He was in the United World Federalist for 13 years. He was in the L.A. Committee for a Democratic Far Eastern policy, which was associated with the Institute of Pacific Relations, which was listed as an instrument of the Soviet Union. This guy is so far left, he makes Fidel Castro look like a member of the John Birch Society. All you've ever heard about Ronald Reagan was simply rhetoric. We have a one-party system.
All right, that's George Bush. That's the Skull and Bone Society. And I guess I can see this. But Bill Clinton, though, he was not a member of the Skull and Bone Society.
No, I believe is Bill Clinton a member of the Council on Foreign Relations?
Oh yes, he certainly is. He's CFR.
Yeah, is George Bush a member of the Council on Foreign Relations?
Yeah, of course.
Bill Clinton wasn't laying naked in a coffin trying to get born again.
No. But let me go back to an election, 1980. We had Jimmy Carter from the Trilateral Commission.
Right.
We had George Bush from the Trilateral Commission, and John Anderson from the Trilateral Commission as the independent ticket. So it wouldn't make any difference which way the coin flipped. Heads, they win. Tails, we lose.
The Rockefellers have never lost an election in the last 60 years.
Well, no, we lose even if the coin landed on its side. They had all bases covered.
Aren't you, when you mentioned the Trilateral Commission and you mentioned Rockefellers, I've heard many fringe groups, ranging from the fundamentalists to the neo-Nazis or whatever, taking bits and pieces of this and constructing it into their own agenda. Aren't you worried about being misinterpreted?
They all have their own
Everybody has their own spin on it, right? Their own agenda. But what we're talking about is things that can be proven from accepted reference works, and how you use that information to promote your own philosophies, your own agenda is that's a problem.
And you're saying that there is proof that from May the 1st, 1776, that the organization, the Illuminati, began,
you can look that up
and to the end of this very day, the Illuminati is still around.
All you need
the cover of their document is the left-hand side, a reverse seal of the dollar bill. And it was put on there early on, but it was the reverse seal early on. But it wasn't until the corn cob mystic, Vice President not George Wallace, but Henry Wallace,
Henry C. Wallace,
who talked to Roosevelt and said, hey, this thing has got to go on there. Now, he had in the White House a little shrine for Madame Blavatsky. Blavatsky wrote
Isis Unveiled and the Secret Doctrine.
Yeah, but she had a manifesto going. She also had a publication of a book. Well, I've seen the books. It's the combined works of Lucifer.
Yeah.
She had Lucifer magazine, and I've held those copies of Lucifer in my hand, leather bound. She was the publisher and co-editor with Annie Besant, and from this Lucifer organization came Theosophy, and from Theosophy came Unity, came
yes,
this one world religion philosophy. And if you go to the United Nations, they've got a meditation room, and you'll find out that the Baha'i religion is the only one that is accepted in the United Nations. In the mediation room, you're going to find the little Illuminati pyramid. So it's loaded with symbology, and Jordan Maxwell is the expert on it.
And what I was going to say, too, is that the United Nations uses a particular publishing firm for all of their documents and books and materials, and it's called Lucius Publishing. The United Nations use Lucius Publishing. Lucius Publishing was at one time Helena Blavatsky's Lucifer Publishing. So today, the whole
funded by the Lucifer Trust.
The Lucifer Trust, United Nations. That's why it's in New York, because New York is referred to as the Empire State, because it's the new state of the new empire that is coming. That's why Steven Spielberg and George Lucas with their Indiana Jones and the Empire Strikes Back, it has to do with occultism, it has to do with numerology, it has to do with a lot of mysticism coming out of Theosophy. The The point being is that we are involved in some very powerful occult manipulation of the world by some very astute occultists, and we are not even beginning to be aware of how far down we are.
It's crazy to have a united world government. I don't want to do away with our individuality. Some people are white, some people are black, tall, short, fat, thin.